Alrighty, folks, this is the maiden voyage of a recording where I blend my normal millionaire conversations with our growing school communities. As we go through with this, my intention is it will be driven by the audience. What we're going to do in this case is really we'll take some questions. I will give you some time to put questions in. We will have time for that at the end. Just put them in the chat below. This is the first one. It will get better from here. But the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to talk about a question that was prompted from Dion's course yesterday. I was lucky enough to be invited to be a guest speaker. Matt and Millennial Mike are going in the next couple of weeks. But Chester, from that conversation, Matt, this question is going to go to you first.
Okay.
Basically asked, hey, how do you know when you've done the work and you need to change, right? Your market's not working. The asset class is not working. Obviously, you've heard me talk about for years, focus, daily discipline. But at some point, you need to say, hey, this isn't working. I need to take this skill, this effort, and I need to change that. When do you think someone should really have that heart to heart, that honest, discussion with themselves?
6 months. 6 months. If it's been 6 months and after kind of 90 days, you're pretty proficient in your rent box and your buy box, you're pretty proficient at that point. You understand, you really kind of know the market. You probably know the market better than 95% of the agents in the market. So at that point, I'm probably looking to take my talents elsewhere, much like LeBron, with much less flopping. But yeah, I'd probably be looking at another market, after that 6 months, but then you can't shortcut the process. You're still going to be 90 days in the next market.
Right.
For me, I'm doing everything I possibly can in markets that are close to me because it's easier to manage. It's less reliant on a team. You still have a team that you have to rely on, but it's less reliant. I can do more drive-bys. I can, it suits my personality better. And so I will leave no stone unturned for my market for all different types of assets. Single family, small multifamily, commercial, mixed use, whatever it is, I'm looking at everything. And then if it's like I can check the box and say literally nothing here works, then it's time to move on and start looking at other stuff. And the best place to do that is, quite frankly, with guys like us who are in markets doing what we're doing.
Yeah. I think it's really awesome that our answer was essentially the same, because what
Oh,
I
cool.
broke down in your answer was most people focus on single family homes first. So I'm just going to make that assumption.
Sure.
The first thing you have to realize when you're doing 6 months of effort and you're being diligent and you can look yourself in the mirror and know you've done the work, to your point, I think the next thing you do is you unlock a different asset, right? And you do this in your market, right? You were very single family oriented, or Dion went after single family, didn't work. Then he went to small multis. But to your point, that's a different asset.
It is.
And then to Dion, again, back to Dion, what did he do recently with his latest $100,000 disrespectful offer? He had to go 30 minutes outside of markets he was been hunting in. I think a lot of people, this is what concerns me. I think a lot of people, will, I don't want to say half-ass because that's disrespectful, but they will do 90 days. They won't do 6 months. And then they will just default to Millennial Mike, right?
Right.
They will default to going out of state
Mm-hmm.
because it just sounds sexy, the allure of it. And that might be the right answer, but I really do think people should, to your point, look at a different asset or look just 30 more minutes.
Yeah. Agreed.
And the markets are so different. Dion, you just did this with your $100,000 disrespectful offer. Why didn't you just go out of state? You got your boy Millennial Mike. You're going to give him all your properties when you're dead. Why didn't you just follow him out to Gary, Indiana? Why'd you go 30 minutes outside?
So I'm glad that Chester asked this question because there's really two answers here. Chester's question was, how long do I pursue my asset in my market before I realize, okay, maybe this isn't going to work and I got to go to another market? And then you brought up maybe there's a different asset class in your market that would work. Somebody's investing there successfully. There's a chronology to our investing. And so when we first start, we say I have X amount saved. This is down payment, closing costs, immediate repairs, and reserves that they're going to require. And sometimes the reserves is a retirement account or something. You hunt for a month and you don't find anything. Well, you've added a month's worth of savings to your nest egg. And then if you go 6 months, I want a duplex. Then I started building up a large amount of money. And I said this for a year on videos with you guys. I said, I want my next purchase to be a fourplex over $1 million. I want it to be my most expensive place. I continued to look for the asset classes that made sense and purchased a duplex in 2021 because I found one and it was a great deal. And then as my money built up again, I started thinking, okay, I'm in my asset class. I want small multifamily in my market, wasn't finding them. And as the money grew, I started changing to maybe I could self-fund a BRRRR. So I'm still in my market. I take out the hard money timeline and all of the bigger risks of the BRRRR strategy because my money was changing. Then I expanded my market. So I did look at new markets, but within where I could still self-manage. And I gave myself a timeline. I said, if by the end of 2023, so I'm not sure if that was 6 or 9 months or something, if I haven't found the deal that makes me take this money because it's sitting in the bank, not doing anything for me, and I want to move it into a property, then I was going to go to Millennial Mike. So that's the first answer is as your money changes, your options change. So we have to be tracking that. But the second thing is I had Millennial Mike. I see him, every week, and he's coming over next week. We're going to go to Seattle, do Man on the Streets interviews. So I've got a resource that has all of those things in place to go to that market. What does Chester have when he asked the question, or whoever's thinking this question? Where is your cousin who's investing? Where's your friend who's investing? What resources do you have that would say that's the market or the asset class that I'm going to go to? And so it isn't just after so much time of me not finding something, I'm going to jump to out of state. It could be in your state in another market, right? It was 6 months to a year of staring at a spreadsheet. And then Olivia says, because that was the answer for Chester.
Right.
That's how you make up the decision. You need an Olivia.
Yeah.
And Olivia said, okay, we're not doing this anymore. It's the last shot. You start making offers or you find a new market.
Right.
So I really like the question. I think it gave a good thought tree to follow.
Yeah, I think there's two more things, Dion, that you brought up that I really want people to hear and feel. Because I know what it's like to be frustrated. I know what it's like to do the work and not get something. I've been there multiple times in 20 years. I just have the track record to know that it eventually breaks my direction. So we've already talked about different asset classes. We've talked about going 30 minutes outside of your area as important. The other one you just brought up is quality. What I mean by that, again, you've got to take what the market is giving you. Sometimes the market is giving you turnkey, low rate, move-in condition, rock and roll, right? Borrow as much as you can, no fix-up. Sometimes, and in a market, what I would argue today, the market is going to pay you to buy junk. Why am I saying that? Well, rates are high. It's causing homeowners to be really stretched. Affordability is, the worst since 1984, and 84 wasn't great. But what it is also giving us is it's giving us days on market growing, non-perfect properties lingering. So if you can find a duplex that was listed at 500 and had been listed for a long time, you can write a disrespectful offer at 400, hold your number at 400, as you've shown us, and you have a shot. Now, it won't always work. But if you take enough shots and you write enough disrespectful offers, I promise you, folks, I promise you have a motivated seller somewhere in your market. You just don't know it because you haven't written 100 offers. You haven't been in the market 20 years. The market we were in for 2020 to 2022 and a half, you would never find a motivated seller. But the market we're in now, they're there because FHA and VA and all these buyers, they can only buy perfect. So again, I want people to know this market is right for people that do the work. I don't think you're going to get a turnkey property, certainly below the market. I don't think that's the market we're in, but you can buy junk and get great deals. What do you think, Matt?
Yes, you can buy junk and you can buy great deals. I mean, I just bought a 10% down, 5% money, amortized over 30, 10-year balloon, but with auto renew if my payments are on time. And, the guy was marketing it as he'd owned the building for 30 years. He owned it outright. He was marketing the building as 4 2-bedrooms. It's really 4 3-bedrooms. It was just a layout issue. And so, I could have very easily said, the price is too high. I don't want to look at it. Because when my broker brought it to me, he's like, yeah, the price is a little bit high. I was like, that's fine. Let's go walk it anyway. We walk everything.
Right.
Discipline. We walk everything. And then we work the numbers. Maybe it's a D condition in a C area. Maybe it's a B condition in a D area. Who knows? And so you don't know, and you need to exercise that muscle to get used to walking properties, understanding costs, understanding what you can make a unit. There's no one else was looking at that building going, holy cow, this is 4 3-bedrooms, not 4 2-bedrooms. The calculus
Right.
completely changes
That stuff happens in every market.
all the time. Every market.
Especially in a slower market. People get
Absolutely.
less disciplined. They get more frustrated. They don't do the work. Again, folks, and again, I want to talk about this. So you found a building that was listed, it was too expensive. Most people wrote it off.
Mm-hmm.
You walk it, realize, oh my God, layout issue. There's a 3rd bedroom. Now, for
Mhm.
people that don't know, what does Section 8 pay for a 2-bedroom in your market? Roughly.
1568.
And a 3-bedroom?
2136 or 2028 2186 or something like that.
So roughly speaking, that's a 35% bump because you're smart enough to go 1, 2, 3.
Yes, correct. and literally, and the funny thing was I talked to the owner because he was there. He was the one showing it. And so I asked him, I said, so how long have these tenants been here? And started just having that conversation. He's like, oh, they've been here for years, blah, blah, blah.
Of
I was
course
like,
they have.
oh,
Why would they go
course.
anywhere?
Exactly. And so then I said to him, I go, oh, so how do you price your units? Because he hadn't disclosed what the rents were.
Hmm.
So I said, how do you price your units? And then he tells me this is how I price. He goes, I purposefully keep the rent low because we all know that turnover is
Yeah.
the kryptonite of landlords. And I was like, don't we all know that
Yeah, you're right.
about landlords that don't like making money?
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where it was like, he was renting out his least expensive unit was $1150. He's making $400 a month, less than Section 8 pays.
A
$400 a
2,
month.
let alone a 3.
This is what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
the best part was I just showed. So what I did was when we put together the offer, I showed him the math. I said, you want me to pay this, even with this for a rate, and even with this as a down payment, I can't write a check for $400 every month.
Yeah, no alligators.
Crazy. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. I said, I can't. My bank won't let me sign up. I can't emotionally sign up for something.
I can't lose money on purpose.
I can't. I said, listen, if I wanted to do that, I'd get another wife. I'm good. My wife doesn't do that. That's why I'm safe. She's good.
You're safe.
But that's the problem is that, but again, it's just the discipline of, did I think going into that I was going to buy that building?
No.
5% chance, maybe.
Yeah. But
because I always do the work. 5% chance, of course.
Exactly.
Discipline.
And again, you went into that deal. Did you? I'm curious. When you saw the listing, did it actually mention seller financing as a possibility? Sometimes
so it wasn't. So he had listed another property, and this is how I have the agents, my top agents. This is how I have them trained. They said, "Oh, cool," and they walk it with their perspective because we saw one where I saw the pictures and I knew the location, and I just said, "Listen, we're not walking this one at all." Like this one is in a drug area. It's horrible, like violence, train tracks.
Yeah.
No, I don't care if he sold it to me for $100. I can't take that property. And so I've trained them to say, do you own
anything else? Yeah.
And he goes, as a matter of fact, I do. And he goes, well, where is it? And he goes, oh, it's in this town. He goes, I'd love to walk it and just see it. I've got somebody that's looking for something in that area. That's how that deal happened. Network is your net worth.
Yeah. And again, because they owned it for a while, you did the math. You got I want people to hear this. In today's market, you got a 10% down. This is a fourplex, correct?
Yeah, fourplex.
10% down, 5% money.
Yep.
P&I, principal and interest, or just interest?
We did P&I. We did P&I.
So full payment, 30-year AM, 10-year balloon with an auto renew if you don't miss payments.
Yes.
It's possible, folks. This is what I'm talking about. You can't wish for the market you want. You have to deal with the market you have.
Absolutely.
And today's market is clear. Higher rates drive buyers away, and they drive them to pretty properties because they don't have the scratch to go do the repairs and remodels that are required. So I think that's pretty powerful. So Dion, your duplex, I think it is, It was listed, right, in the MLS?
Yeah, it was MLS over 100 days.
Over 100 days. And your offer always was 400 cash, 400 cash, quick close
Correct.
the whole time.
Yep.
All right. Well, you're just about done with the process. Why don't you catch everybody up on your first and what you keep telling us is your last burr? What's going on?
So I'm a fan of finding a property on the MLS that the owner didn't raise the rents because they know that tenant turnover is the death to landlords, right? And
Me
I
too.
actually found another one at the same time that I offered to Frank when I chose this one over that one. It didn't make sense to Frank because of property management. That would have tanked the numbers for him. For me, it made sense because I self-manage, I'm local. And I was confident with the rents here because I was watching what remote work was doing, and it has happened. Look, the 2-bedroom unit that I had here would rent for 12 or 1300 2 years ago. I'm at 2125 and had 30 people lined up to take it.
Wait.
So
Was 1,200 now 21?
people aren't watching what remote work is doing. It's added 60% to rents easily.
Yeah.
So
And you're only 30 minutes farther away.
yeah, yes, not yeah.
Well, it
yeah,
depends.
about 30. Yeah,
I was
exactly.
gonna say it also depends, Dion, because you're closer to other things now.
Yeah. The water and all of that.
Well, yeah, so that's yeah, exactly true. But that was here before, Matt.
Right.
So all of those were here. The biggest shift is remote work
Absolutely.
has drastically altered things 30 minutes to 1 hour out, where I'm watching rents just go up and up and up and prices aren't. And that was what pushed me to these two markets. Now, the other markets didn't have as much remote work going there because they weren't as attractive. They weren't commutable because they still have to go to work once or twice a week. So the one town is close to a ferry system that goes right to Seattle. And the other town, the other market that I was looking at, is close to the state capitol where all the L&I buildings are, the DSHS buildings, right? So it's all those state workers who are now mostly remote work. So I was watching what was going on there, and I try to do that with my purchases. One is I invest in a town where there was a mushroom farm, and the mushroom farm was in a 10-year court battle. And since I ran a CDL school, I had employees coming to the CDL school saying, hey, our company's losing the battle. The state's offering to train us all to get CDLs. So can we go through your school and sign up? And I was like, oh, so you guys are losing the battle. That's not public knowledge, but this is legal insider trading. So I targeted that area and bought a duplex. The $298,000 that's now worth about $7 million. So just because the mushroom farm lost, they're gone. It's been gone now for like 3 years. Smells, a 5-mile radius smell disappeared. And so we can track that right now. This is the shift of remote work. 2020 changed the whole landscape of where people work. And yes, the big tech industries that own the media platforms are saying, oh, people have to come back to work. Tesla gets a lot of attention. But audit your network of all the people you know. And if you're like Jason and me, and you know mostly truck drivers, take them out of the equation. We haven't got truck driving remote down yet. There's no drone pilots out there doing truck deliveries. Right. But how many people do you know? Because right now the statistic is 54% of Americans are required to work in the office. That's 46% that can work remote or part-time remote.
Yeah, flip it over. You're absolutely right. And I want to give you credit. You're the first person, and I think it was, gosh, it could have been 2 years ago. You're like, Michael, I don't think you're paying attention. This remote work thing is it's gonna be real. And you're absolutely right. It's that 30 minutes, right? It's that extra 30 minutes away that I'm willing to drive, once or twice a week, or 5 times a month. And oh, by the way, my other 6 days, I'm by the water. That's why your duplex is going to be just a monster home run, right? You got that view off the balcony of the water. You can see the orcas coming through. And oh, by the way, now you're getting 21 versus 12. Folks, don't argue with the market you want. Take the market that you have. And Matt and Dion are just living examples of doing the work. So I want to appreciate Chester for the question. I think we've really, really beaten this one up. We're going to roll into question 2. But before we do that, I'm going to stop the recording and restart. Thanks, guys.